This story begins on planet Vegeta, where everything seemed to unfold normally. However, something unusual was growing inside the womb of a Saiyan woman. The child was to be named Kakarot, as everyone believed it would be a boy. Bardock was excited, yet uneasy. Deep down, he suspected something was wrong. He had experienced strange premonitions, visions he tried to ignore, but the fear lingered. He never told Gina, thinking he was just going crazy. Still, the months passed, and the date of delivery drew closer. Gina began noticing odd behaviors in her body. While cooking one day, a small utensil fell behind her, and without consciously realizing it, her body turned and caught it before it hit the floor. Gina considered these moments as mere coincidences, but it couldn't be further from the truth. These incidents were happening because of the powerful bond forming with the being inside her womb. There were already signs of something extraordinary, though subtle enough to go unnoticed. Occasionally, her eyes would flicker silver, only to revert moments later. Bardock started sensing a strange energy coming from Gina, one he had never felt before. It wasn't hers, he realized. He began connecting the dots and understood that the child growing inside her was anything but ordinary. Bardock formed a small energy sphere in his right hand. Gina, turn around and close your eyes. She hesitated but obeyed. Without warning, Bardock launched the energy blast at her, but astonishingly, she dodged it without even looking. Just as I thought. What the hell is wrong with you, Bardock? Why are you attacking me? Do you want to kill me? Don't you realize? You just dodged my attack without seeing it. Yeah, I know. It was pure luck. If I hadn't moved, you could have hurt me. Or worse, killed our child. You're being reckless, Bardock. You still don't get it. With your power level, there's no way you could have reacted that quickly. Even if you were high class, an attack at that distance should have hit. Seeing that Gina still didn't understand, Bardock quickly moved behind her, grabbed 2 kitchen knives and threw them from point-blank range. Gina couldn't track his movements due to his speed, but once again, she evaded his attack. You see? He's protecting you. It's true. You're right. Now everything makes sense. You were smart to notice before I did. Our child is a prodigy. I can't imagine what they'll be capable of once they're born. I'm really looking forward to meeting them. That means our child might even be eligible to join the Saiyan elite. Exactly, Gina. Time passed. Gina was now 7 months pregnant when complications arose. She went into early labor. However, in reality, it wasn't premature. The baby had developed at an accelerated rate compared to other Saiyan infants. Medically, it was labeled a premature birth, but doctors couldn't explain the abnormal development speed. The delivery was difficult. Gina's body wasn't ready. On top of that, the child began releasing a massive amount of energy as they prepared to be born. Sadly, the energy was too much for Gina's body to handle. She died during childbirth. To save the child, they had to perform an emergency incision. It was then that Bardock saw something unexpected. The child wasn't a boy. He was stunned. A whirlwind of emotions struck him. Gina was gone, and the son he had dreamed of turned out to be a daughter. As time passed, Bardock noticed that his daughter didn't display the power level he had anticipated. He began to think Gina's death had been a tragic medical error, but again, he couldn't have been more wrong. He attempted to scan the girl's power level several times. The results were always the same, far too low. In fact, so low that the scouter didn't even bother trying to measure it. Absolute zero. It was the first time anyone had seen such a weak power level, lower than that of an average Earthling newborn. Bardock couldn't hide his disappointment. I should have known. Of course a girl wouldn't have a decent power level. I'm such an idiot. It all makes sense now. There isn't a single female warrior among the elite. Meanwhile, on Beerus's planet, Whis suddenly noticed a strange ripple in the vast expanse of the universe. His eyes sharpened. Interesting. I can sense a new energy. Just born. And it feels oddly familiar. It's a girl, that much is clear. How unusual. It might be fun to tell Lord Beerus about this. No, better not. Let him continue sleeping. I'll just keep observing from a distance. There's no need to intervene. Yet. Back on planet Vegeta, despite Bardock's deep disappointment, the child was still his daughter, and he knew he had a responsibility to raise and protect her. He made a decision. He would raise her as a warrior, not as a fragile, conventional woman. He had a strong feeling something was wrong with the future of the Saiyan race. Though he trained her as best he could, Kakarota's power level never increased. It was as if she were some kind of alien from a conquered, weak planet. To Bardock, she seemed completely useless, a burden even. But as time passed, something didn't add up. Even with a non-existent power level, she displayed remarkable intellect, well beyond her age. Her reasoning, her ability to grasp complex situations instantly, even Bardock's own behavior was beyond anything he had seen before in a child. Then he began to notice something even stranger. She exhibited the same strange abilities Gina had shown during her pregnancy. Reflexes beyond explanation, a mysterious awareness of danger, and moments where her body moved without conscious control. Bardock started to realize maybe her strength wasn't in her ki. Maybe her power didn't lie in her battle level at all. What if her power came from something else? Something that transcended traditional Saiyan understanding? His mind opened to new possibilities. Could it be that she truly was a prodigy, but one unlike any the Saiyan race had seen? To test his theory, Bardock launched several energy blasts at her, just like he had with Gina. This time he didn't hold back. He fired multiple energy attacks while she was fast asleep, and yet Kakarota dodged every single one. Though asleep, her body reacted. She was still just a child, but due to her rapid development, she had enough awareness to sense the world around her. Even if she didn't understand what she was doing, her body simply moved on its own, especially when it sensed danger. Incredible. I don't understand how you're doing this, but I finally see you're not the useless brat I thought you were. Your abilities make you special, and I'll make sure you learn how to use them. Maybe, just maybe, you're the key to ending the Saiyan race's tyrannical rule. So I hope I'm not losing my mind. Gina will be so proud to see what her daughter can do. Inside his mind, Bardock thought, everyone believes she died with her mother during childbirth. That's how it should stay. But now, with the abilities she's showing, if word reaches King Vegeta, or worse, that bastard Frieza, it could be catastrophic. I need to hide her better than ever. Bardock had relocated to an isolated area with his daughter, far from the Saiyan cities. But just before he could move them to a new hiding spot, several Saiyans happened to fly overhead on patrol, ensuring all sectors were in order. From a distance, they spotted Bardock. Everyone knew who Bardock was. Curious, they flew down to speak to him. They had noticed his absence from planetary missions ever since Gina's death. He hadn't reported in for conquest duty, and that raised questions. Hey, is that a child behind you? Who is she, Bardock? She looks a lot like you. Don't tell me. That is none of your business. Keep flying. And I suggest you don't tell anyone what you saw here, if you know what's good for you. You sound pretty defensive, Bardock. Why hide this from King Vegeta? Is there something about this girl we don't know? Maybe besides the lie you fed us, that your daughter died? No more questions. I'm leaving. All right. We won't ask anything else. Go on then. Besides, she doesn't seem like a threat. The Saiyans flew back into the sky, not noticing a set of massive steel beams used to carry planetary signal transmissions. One of them accidentally clipped the structure mid-flight, and a chunk of metal fell straight toward the little girl. For a second, it seemed like the end. But in a flash, Kakarota avoided the entire structure with almost casual ease. Hey, did you see that? She dodged that without even trying. And she's not scared at all. That was incredible. Bardock was now panicking. They had witnessed her abilities. He knew what would happen if they reported this. He had no choice. I'm sorry, but you weren't supposed to see that. I didn't want it to come to this. What are you talking about? Before the words finished leaving his mouth, Bardock struck. A single devastating blow pierced the Saiyan's heart. He dropped to the ground, lifeless. The others froze. They begged for mercy, swore they'd never tell a soul, but Bardock couldn't risk it. One by one, he killed them all. Yet one of them, barely clinging to life, managed to send a warning to King Vegeta through his scouter before dying. Bardock realized what had happened. Rage and desperation filled his chest. Damn it! He slammed his fists into the ground over and over, fury burning in his veins. He had just killed 5 of his own, and now he was a fugitive. Worse, he was hiding a child with unknown powers. King Vegeta received the message, furious and alarmed. He ordered every soldier to locate Bardock and his daughter. Bardock was to be executed, and the girl evaluated. If her power posed any threat, she'd face a fate even worse than Broly's. King Vegeta wasn't willing to take any chances, not after what had happened with Broly. He wanted Bardock and the girl found at any cost. From that moment on, the entire Saiyan military, elite units included, were mobilized to track them down. Bardock, however, was a master at hiding. He knew every inch of planet Vegeta better than anyone. Their story had gone beyond military orders. It became planetary news. Every inhabitant, soldier or civilian knew about Bardock and the mysterious girl. A massive bounty was placed on their heads. The reward was enough to drive entire squads into a frenzy to find them. Word even reached Frieza himself. A girl? How amusing. I don't see why such a fuss is being made over a child. What a ridiculous matter. To Frieza, the situation was laughable. But King Vegeta knew better. He understood the rare genetic mutations that sometimes occurred within the Saiyan race, and the danger they could pose. After several months of tireless searching, a patrol finally located Bardock. He had fallen asleep, utterly exhausted from the constant running and hiding. More than 100 soldiers surrounded the small camp. They made noise, but Bardock didn't stir. His body had reached its limit, physically and mentally. He was in a deep sleep. But Kakarota was awake. Despite her age, her senses were alert. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She simply watched. When Bardock finally opened his eyes, the air was still, silent. He sat up slowly, and what he saw shook him. Dozens, no, a mountain of bodies lay scattered across the ground. Every single soldier was dead, not a scratch on her. What the hell happened? I didn't feel a thing. I didn't sense anything. And the gods, you're okay. Did you do this, my daughter? Kakarota said nothing. She simply looked at him with a faint smile, quiet, serene, but strangely unsettling. Far away, on one of Frieza's ships. Lord Frieza, we've received disturbing news. The girl, the one we mentioned before, she just slaughtered 100 of our soldiers. In under 10 seconds, according to reports. It sounds unbelievable, my lord. That Saiyan's daughter did that? How is that even possible? Seems she's not just an ordinary girl after all. This is more concerning than I initially thought. Looks like I'll have to intervene personally. Prepare the coordinates for planet Vegeta. I'll handle Bardock and his daughter myself. I'll end their lives before this problem gets any bigger. Bardock already knew King Vegeta had been after him since the last incident, when he killed the 5 Saiyans who had discovered him. One of them managed to send a report. Since then, he had been under surveillance. But what had happened now was far worse. The death of over 100 soldiers confirmed it. Frieza must have found out. The only way to be sure was to infiltrate and hear it with his own ears. If Frieza was on the move, there was no time to waste. He put on an old armor with no insignias, lowered his ki to nearly undetectable levels, and covered part of his face with a cloth. He wrapped Kakarota in a camouflage cloak and carried her on his back like mere luggage. He made his way to the city center, walking like any other warrior. No one recognized him. Among so many Saiyans, all busy with the general alert, his disguise worked. He reached an area near the command center. There, he hid behind a collapsed structure. It didn't take long before he heard a conversation between soldiers. Frieza is coming. It was confirmed a few hours ago. Frieza himself. Why the big deal? Haven't you heard? The squad that found Bardock and the girl was wiped out. All of them. But not by him. By the child. They say she left no one alive. She didn't even defend herself. Just dodged them and suddenly they were on the ground. No one knows how she did it. King Vegeta is furious. He didn't want another Broly case. This time there'll be no exile. If they find her, they'll kill her. And Bardock's already condemned. Doesn't matter if he surrenders or not. Frieza doesn't forgive. Bardock closed his eyes. Everything he feared had been confirmed. Frieza was coming. His daughter wasn't going to be studied or watched or judged. They were going to kill her without hesitation. He couldn't stay with her. That same night, he would make his decision. Bardock silently left the area. He couldn't remain in one place for too long. He knew that if he was discovered, his daughter wouldn't have any chance of survival. He took an alternate route, crossing through dark alleys and maintenance corridors. There was no turning back now. He headed toward an old military hangar that had been shut down years ago. He remembered that there were still some old escape pods there. Some might still be operational if the reserve energy was intact. But before he arrived, a patrol appeared in front of him. "You! Stop right there! Why are you covering your face?" Bardock didn't answer. One of them raised his scouter. Bardock knew that if they scanned his face or ki, it would all end right there. He couldn't allow it. He attacked without hesitation. He punched the first one straight in the jaw, knocking him out instantly. The second he grabbed by the neck and slammed into the wall. The third tried to retreat, but Bardock hit him with an energy blast to the chest. He fell without making a sound. Bardock dragged the bodies to a dark corner and kept moving. There was no time to waste. Minutes later, he arrived at the hangar. The place was in ruins. Rusted gates, collapsing structures, but the auxiliary power still worked. He entered from the side, forced open an old door, and powered up the main system. Most of the pods were useless, but one was still operational. Bardock activated the console. The panel flickered. The navigation system was functional. He quickly browsed the logs, looking for habitable planets. Far away and without Imperial presence, there it was, Planet 4032 ERDE, Earth. A primitive world. Extremely low power levels. Humans as the dominant race. No warrior species, no key control, no Frieza influence. A perfect planet to vanish on. Bardock looked at his daughter. She was awake, looking at him without fear, calm, as always. I can't take you with me. If I do, they'll find us. But if you go alone, no one will know where you are. He held her for a few seconds. His hands didn't shake, but inside he felt shattered. It wasn't the choice he wanted to make. It was the only option he had. I don't know what you are, but I'm sure you're not ordinary. I hope one day you understand this and forgive me. He opened the pod, placed his daughter inside, fastened the belts, closed the hatch, activated the launch sequence. The pod began to hum. You're not running away. I'm giving you the only chance I can. The pod slowly rose, exited through the broken roof, and vanished into the starry sky. Bardock watched it without saying a word. There was no time to stay still. If Frieza detected only one fleeing pod, he'd know it was a child. But if he found two trajectories, he'd be thrown off. Bardock needed to divert attention. He quickly scanned the rest of the hangar, found another old pod, smaller but functional. He activated the system, set a destination completely opposite to Kakarota's, a random location on the edge of the universe with no strategic value. If Frieza follows me, he won't find her. He shut the hatch, powered the thrusters, and launched. Meanwhile, aboard Frieza's mothership, the atmosphere was tense. All soldiers walked in silence. No one dared say a word too much. Frieza was already en route to planet Vegeta, and the fury he carried was obvious. Never before had he shown such frustration. Not over war, not over rebellion, but over what he considered a direct insult. Commander Kikuno entered the control room with an urgent report in hand. Lord Frieza, we have a problem. Frieza didn't even look at him. Speak. Reports from the base say 2 pods were stolen just minutes ago. One was launched towards Sector 4035 and the other to Quadrant 6712. Frieza slowly opened his eyes. He turned toward the commander without changing expression. 2 pods? Yes, sir. They appear to have been launched almost simultaneously from an old decommissioned hangar. We believe Bardock was one of them, and the second pod may have carried the child. Frieza remained silent for a few seconds. Then he smiled, that cold smile everyone knew. So, you chose to separate from her. Kikuno swallowed harder. 2 pathetic monkeys mocking me, stealing my pods, killing my soldiers, and wasting my time. I won't allow it. Frieza stood up. Cancel the destruction of planet Vegeta. Everyone in the room turned to him, shocked. I don't want a single soul on that planet to die until Bardock and his daughter are dead before me. Understood? Understood, sir. Frieza looked out the window of his ship, in the direction the pods had gone. Find them. Both of them. I don't care how long it takes. You will bring them to me, or I'll tear them out of wherever they are myself. On planet Earth, the pod pierced through the atmosphere at high speed. The landing was rough, but the system worked perfectly. In the distance, an old man was walking through the forest gathering firewood. His name was Son Gohan. He lived alone atop a mountain, a retired warrior, someone who had chosen to live in peace. He heard the crash, looked up at the sky. Something was falling fast. He ran toward the impact site. It took him a few minutes. When he arrived, he found a smoking crater. At its center, a pod with a glass front. Inside, a girl. Gohan approached cautiously. The pod's system opened automatically. The girl looked at him. She didn't cry, didn't speak, just stared. What the? A girl in a space pod? He picked her up. She was warm, but didn't seem hurt. She wore small armor and had a strange, faint energy aura. I don't understand anything, but I can't leave you here alone. He took her home. Days passed. Gohan didn't know where she came from. She didn't speak, didn't say her name. So he began calling her Kaka, after the letters engraved on the pod's exterior. She was calm, learned fast, watched everything closely. She had odd reflexes. Sometimes she dodged things before they fell. Other times, she seemed to anticipate everything that was about to happen. Gohan wasn't dumb. He knew she wasn't an ordinary girl. One night, he awoke to a strange pressure in the air. He stepped outside. There she was, standing, eyes completely silver. She didn't speak, didn't move. Gohan watched in silence. Seconds later, her eyes returned to normal. Kaka looked around as if nothing had happened and went back to sleep. Gohan stood there, unable to respond. "Who are you, girl?" The pod Bardock used to send his daughter was ancient. It had no direct tracking system, nor did it emit constant signals like modern models. Bardock knew what he was doing. Using an old pod made her practically undetectable. That was his only card to hide her. But Frieza wasn't going to give up. In the days following their escape, elite squads began a massive investigation. Commanders, scientists, and Imperial technicians were deployed to multiple stations to track the residual energy signatures of the pods. Frieza didn't just want to find them, he wanted to find them himself. The mothership was placed in search mode, scanning every region of the quadrant where the pods could have landed. They started with Bardock's pod. Its traces were more recent, more visible. That was the first one they found, but Bardock wasn't there. His pod was empty, abandoned on a lifeless asteroid, a decoy. "Lord Frieza, the pod we found didn't carry the girl. It was just a distraction. Bardock is more cunning than I thought. He split his moves. But it doesn't matter. We found one, now we'll find the other." Weeks passed, then months. The scans continued. The possibilities were many. Bardock had chosen to send his daughter to a remote, insignificant planet with no combat power. That narrowed the options. But still, there were thousands of worlds. Frieza sorted the planets by power level. The lower the class, the higher the likelihood. He didn't have time to visit each one. Instead, he ordered his technicians to search for anomalies on those planets. During the period when the pods were launched, a pattern began to emerge. One particular planet, located in System 4032, showed a subtle atmospheric disturbance. An unknown object had entered at high speed weeks prior. It wasn't large, but the planet's sensors had registered it as a meteorite. "Lord, we've located something." "Speak." "There are records of an impact on a planet called Earth. The data matches the date the pods were launched. No Saiyan presence reported, but it's a class extremely low-level planet." Frieza narrowed his eyes. "Combat level?" "Minimal. Almost zero. Humans, no known dominant race, no galactic army, no significant energy. It's a primitive planet." Frieza smiled. "Exactly the type of planet Bardock would send his child to." Kikano hesitated. "Sir, we can't be certain that it's her." Frieza didn't let him finish. "I don't need certainty. If there's even the slightest chance the girl is there, I'll go personally." He turned to his men. "Prepare my ship. We're heading to Earth. Immediately. This time, I'll leave no loose ends." The army mobilized once again. Frieza didn't say it aloud, but he was obsessed. Never in his life had a low-class warrior put him in this position. Never had a child humiliated his army. He couldn't allow it. His ego, his authority, everything was on the line. "I don't care if it's a girl, a demon, or a genetic mistake. Anyone who defies my empire does not deserve mercy. I will find her, and I will make the universe remember what happens when my patience is tested."